Welcome back to the tutorial. And yeah, these sequences coming up can be really, really fucking hard and intense if you try to get in the midst and fight all the enemies at once. So here I start off with the rage mode to try to thin out some of these guys' life, because this shit was giving me a lot of trouble. I spent about 50 minutes on all the scenes shown in this video, which, you know, is a decent amount of combat encounters, but this one was the hardest one. This is the hardest combat encounter out of this video for sure, because a lot of enemies just keep coming in and they can really fuck you up. So, you know, it's good to use what you have. But mainly what I ended up doing was I went back to the distance tactics with, you know, axe throws. I do get in close initially for a little while, and I use the rage, and then I'll hang back and throw my axe for a long period of time and eventually build my rage back up again so I can use it again later. I also have a talisman equipped that I mentioned in a few videos, which it gives you a burst of rage to your rage bar. So I definitely would recommend, you know, getting that talisman from the blacksmith and using it, because you can get your rage bar up faster. And I also do a trick after the first section of the fight in this area. I wait a while and I'm able to charge up my rage so that I can go into the next portion of the battle with a full or nearly full rage bar. Not full, but I didn't wait for the whole thing to fill up. I didn't want to sit around that long, but I wait a little while to get some of it back. Though, of course, you know, if you want to, you can use both your life talisman and your rage talisman and just stay in that midpoint, get all your life and all your full rage back if that's what you want to do after you clear out these enemies. You do have the option to do that, but you'll be waiting for a while to charge up all that. Because as you know, the talisman energy fills up slowly as you wait around or fight or whatever you're doing. So you're most likely familiar with the talismans by now at this point in the game. So yeah, basically you want to stay in this general area. You're going to see, if you go all the way to the back, there's a barrier and you can go through it. But there's a little bit of a dead end with a little gap that you can go through to get to the next area. But you don't want to go to that next area, because if you do that, you're going to have a lot of enemies coming in. You're going to be fighting many more enemies. See, this is the first section right here. Now at this point, you'll see I hang around for a while, and I fill up my rage meter a little bit more so that I can at least use the rage in the next area, because you still have to fight quite a few enemies. I mean, this part can be really difficult because you got to fight a lot of guys, and they kill you really fast. So I decided to come up with a technique to take my time, you know, to use a similar technique to what I've been doing with the axe throwing. You know, of course, when I have to fight enemies up close, I'll do it when I don't have a choice. But here you definitely have a choice, so I would recommend exploiting that. You know, unless you just want to make things harder on yourself. But if you're competent enough, then you can, I'm sure you can kill everything up close. But it's fucking hard. I'm definitely no expert at the combat in this game as of yet. So I'll only get as good as the game makes me get in the end, you know, before I move on to the next game, most likely. I have been playing other games in between, but I've been mostly focusing on this the last few days. At least, you know, 2 hours a day, sometimes 3. Not a massive amount of time, but, you know, enough to make progress. Yeah, so here I just hang behind this barrier, and I decided to take out these flying things a little bit early and just stay behind the barrier and just spam the axe throws. Now, these next enemies coming up are more aggressive, and they'll charge you and try to ram you. You see, now I use my rage talisman to get a burst of rage, and it filled up my rage bar enough to be able to use it again. So I take advantage of that, and I take out this asshole. And then at that point, I think I pretty much get the fuck out, and you know, I work my way out through this situation and just get back again and start throwing the axe again. And it's not very exciting to watch, but, you know, it will get you through this part. So it's a very viable tactic and very, you know, much safer. And you, of course, can still die doing this. I mean, nothing's really safe in this area, but this is about as safe as you can get. So yeah, soon you'll be done with this area, and the next encounters coming up aren't as hard as this. But this game does start to throw a lot of enemies at you in some of these encounters with the Dark Elves, so you end up having to fight a lot of them. So, luckily this axe throwing tactic works throughout pretty much all these segments that I'm about to show you in this video, which will take you a good chunk. It'll pretty much take you up to the main boss of this area. You know, I don't know if you'd call it a mini boss, but it's not as dramatic as some of the larger bosses, but you know, it's a boss fight, so you'll be able to do that. Now this part is really tough because, you know, you're in close, you don't have a lot of area to get a lot of distance, so I had to do the axe throwing up pretty close in this area, and it was definitely pretty fucking intense. You know, it didn't take me a lot of tries. I think I only died a few times, but you know, and partly I got lucky too, you know, because things can go bad when these guys get too close. But if you're patient and you hang behind this little corner here with this tree or whatever you want to call it. See, and I use rage here to knock a bunch of them off by using that stomp, a tactic I've used in some other encounters. And see, that cleared out a lot of enemies. But there's still a lot of enemies left, you know, so you still got to be patient. You know, even if you're successful with that, you got to be patient. And I'd recommend staying behind this tree and throwing the axes, because that'll shield you from some of the projectile attacks that they have. And whenever one gets closer to you, you know, throw the axe to move that one back farther, because the axe will move them back. So just keep alternating as, you know, when one gets closer, or if you need to finish one off, try to get rid of it if you can. And, yeah, pretty much this will take you through, like, most of these encounters. So, yeah, it's not going to be anything too difficult. It's just going to be kind of tedious, and it can be intense, but it's not too hard. And, you know, use that talisman when it fills up to get that rage bar up, because, you know, if you can get another rage boost and get full, you know, or nearly full rage, enough to use it at least, then you can take out more guys with that and get some life back too if you need it. But Atreus does a pretty decent job of distracting them often. But see, a lot of guys will start popping up out of nowhere. They kind of seem to spawn out of nowhere sometimes. See, like now we have like 3 of them, I think. I don't even know where that one came from. But they just keep popping in, so you end up having to fight a lot of these assholes. So yeah, I used my rage burst to get rage, but things were getting kind of fucked up, and, you know, over there it was getting dangerous. And I could have easily died in this part. So it can get intense, you know, even when things are calm for a while, shit can get wild. Because these guys can kill you really, really fucking fast when it's up close and they swarm you. I mean, one of them can easily kill you up close, but when you got like 2 or 3 of them at once going after you, you could be fucked real fast. That one actually, I don't know if he fell off he fell off the ledge from me throwing the axe at him. So sometimes you can knock them back far enough that they'll fall off, but see, now another one comes in. So they just keep coming. They just keep sending, you know, a shitload of enemies at you. So it can be tough. Because they take a lot of hits, too. You know what I mean? It's not like they only take a few hits. And they're extremely aggressive, so they can be very, very dangerous. So I'd recommend playing it safe like this, if you just want to get through it. And now I do have Rage ready if I want to use it, so I decided to use it. I try to knock some of these guys off the ledge. I got that one off the ledge. And with the other one wasn't at the proper angle. But see, I almost died here. I do have a resurrection stone, but I didn't want to use it here because I don't think there's a blacksmith in this area. No, yeah, there is no blacksmith in this area until after you beat the boss, I think. That could be... Yeah, I don't think the blacksmith shows up until after you complete the boss, so... You don't want to use a resurrection stone because you're going to want that resurrection stone for the boss fight. The boss fight, you know, it has patterns that are easy to read, but it can be difficult because it takes a while. It's a long fight. It's probably going to take me some time. I have to work on that. I haven't really played it. I've only tried it once so far. But I played for about 2 hours today, so I got up a few videos. I still have the other one uploading, which I'll post that up shortly after this one. But yeah, I think this may be... Yeah, that's the end of that. But you see, it goes on for a while. There's a lot of enemies in there. And now you get, as you're traversing through these areas on the main path, now you have more assholes showing up. And they're going to send a lot of guys at you still, so... But you have a lot of opportunity here to pull a lot of bullshit. You know, you can really keep your distance and just throw shit at the guys, so... You know, I would say continually use the distance to your advantage and just keep throwing the axe. And of course, between sequences, you know, you can wait around and use your rage talisman or life talisman to get your life or rage filled up if you want to do that. But I didn't bother. But yeah, same tactic pretty much. These guys are going to have trouble trying to hit you with anything from all the way back there. So I would also recommend taking out the floating guys as soon as possible because they have the, you know, they can move fast and they can cause a lot more problems than the other guys can at a distance. They'll catch up to you real fast and just like, you know, and throw shit at you and like ram into you. So things got a little close here, so I used the rage. And those stomps do a lot of damage. They do waste the rage faster, but they do a lot of damage. They're especially good when the guys are at the ledges, but you pretty much have to have the guys in front of you, and the ledge has to be to their back for them to go in. If you're at an angle, it doesn't really work too well. But yeah, now I get some more distance again. I'll just continue with this. As you see, they do throw a lot of enemies at you, so, you know, if your life gets drained early on, you're pretty much going to be fucked if you're trying to fight them all head on. They take you out really quickly. And see, the axe throws move the guys back, so if you have somebody getting close to you, just prioritize them for a little while. So you get more enemies coming, and it's just like a continuous amount of enemies with a lot of health and very aggressive and quick. But see, now I start backing up into this light bridge. You really have a lot of area to back up. I mean, it's a narrow area, but you have a lot of room to back up. You just have to make a few turns, and you know, these enemies are going to have a hard time getting across this light bridge while I'm throwing axes at them continuously. So even if they do make it up, their life is going to be very low by that point, most likely. So as long as you relentlessly throw axes at them, you should be alright. And, you know, the rage meter is starting to build up again, too, from throwing all the axes. So, you know, that along with using the rage burst to fill it up as needed means, you know, I'll probably have rage available if I need it to deal with anybody who gets too close. I also have my rune attacks charged up, so I have a few options. My rage is full now, so, you know, I could use it now and run in and fuck them up pretty bad. If not, finish off most of them. See, I used the rage burst to get it even fuller. Now it's completely full, so, you know, if I wanted to right now and use the rage, I could kill them all, but I try to save it for times when it's needed, you know, because I don't know how many, I don't think I died on these checkpoints, so I don't know how many enemies they're going to keep sending out. But yeah, that's the end of that segment. And now this part, I thought this might be really hard, but it's easy. I would recommend having your rage full for this part, though, just for the fuck of it, because it helped me here. But you take way less damage in this part because there's so many enemies. It's more of a cinematic type of thing. So it's not as bad as it seems like it's going to be. You also don't have to focus on fighting the enemies. Your only focus is to run through the enemies and get to the next objective area. You want to get to those red cylinders so you can stick your axe in them, or whatever the fuck he's doing. So, you know, your objective is to get the enemies out of your way and just run through them. So I used the rage here, and I found it worked well with the stomps, you know. But you take way less damage here, so it's not as hard as it seems. But yeah, my main goal is just to keep moving. I just hold ass through all this shit. You may not even need to use your rage here. I'm sure you don't, but I just, you know, I figured fuck it. But yeah, after this, that's pretty much the end of this video, and then I may still have another one. I'm not sure, you know, I think the next one I didn't really make any progress, but I'm not sure, you know, I may have one more. Yeah, I think this was, yeah, no, actually, no, I do. I have one more video, so I'll try to get that up in a moment. I'm just waiting for it to upload, so stay tuned for that, and I hope you enjoy the videos.